Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last week I've been driving the 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. Below me are two electric motors powering this all-new electric bus. That's right, Volkswagen has brought the bus back, the iconic bus back to the market in EV form. And so I've spent the last 7 days driving and experiencing everything I can with the ID Buzz, and I'm going to share my thoughts, opinions, and experiences with you here today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that all-electric drivetrain. Well, this particular ID Buzz consists of two electric motors. So it is all-wheel drive. This is the 4Motion ID Buzz, but you can get them in rear-wheel drive if that's something that you want. This makes 335 horsepower, where the two-wheel drive only makes 200 and some. And so power-wise, traction-wise, livability-wise, I like the all-wheel drive, but I'll put the range numbers for both rear and all-wheel drive. This particular one gets about 220 miles of range at a full charge, but it should be noted that I've had this the week before Valentine's Day here in February in Chicago, so it's been freezing cold. The biggest number I saw was 207 on a 97% charge. Now, also, climate control will cut into this. For me, it takes away about 23 miles of range if I do want to use the climate controls. So range is definitely not a strong suit for this ID Buzz, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Paired to it is a 1-speed automatic transmission. Fine, it's an EV. And like I said, you can get them in all-wheel or rear-wheel, depending on what you want, and you're gonna pay a little bit more for the all-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive an ID Buzz? It feels big. This vehicle isn't that big, but it feels very big because the dashboard is approximately a football field long. It gives the feeling that you are this big macho bus when you're really just a minivan. Visibility is okay, but I do have these side windows because the front window is so large. And when it was snowing, these collected snow, but the windshield obviously didn't, so I did have a giant blind spot in a snowstorm. And the windshield has a defroster on it, which is cool, but at night it produces these sort of halo-like things around shining light. So if you have stigmatism or other eye issues, this might mess with you a little bit at night. Something to note. But the ride has been smooth and comfortable, it's been quick enough, it's been nice to drive, and although you feel big, again, you don't have that big footprint, so it's actually not as obnoxious as it feels. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a small digital gauge cluster. This is customizable, you can swipe through a couple of things, and nothing too crazy here, but everything you need and nothing that you don't. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our cruise control options. This does have adaptive cruise, as well as volume. And off to the right is our skip track selectors and heated steering wheel. These are the haptic buttons, and honestly, after a week driving with them, you start to care about them less and less. It doesn't really affect it anymore. I haven't had a long-term loan of a vehicle with them, so it's been interesting to learn that I guess they're not the worst in the whole wide world. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, a nice wood accent, as well as our headlight switches. And moving on to the door, we have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. So a couple of things I do want to note here. Of course, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is very, very nice. But we do have some customizable, not only ambient lighting, but you can actually change the infotainment color scheme, which is really nice. So if you want the volume to be pink, it can be pink. If you want the volume to be blue, it can be blue. Really, really cool there. One downside is the backup camera. Although we do get a 360 camera, the quality of it just doesn't feel like it's worth $70,000. I would have expected a little bit nicer camera system. Again, because this vehicle does feel so large, you really rely on them quite a bit, and I didn't find them that helpful. We do have our climate controls ran through the screen. Not a fan of this, but they work well. They haven't been laggy, and I like that. And then down below, we have some temperature settings for our dual zone, as well as our volume slider. We then get 2 climate control vents with a hazard switch, and then we get our power-operated doors for the rear. This was really, really helpful, as well as you could turn them off. And then we have pop-down cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. However, unfortunately, yet kind of predictably, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do have this center console. A couple of things to note. First of all, you get 2 dividers that have important jobs. One divider is a bottle opener that you can remove, and the other one you can remove to use as an ice scraper in case you forgot yours at home. That is really, really genius ideas from Volkswagen to have them on board as something that you already have to have in the car, little dividers. Might as well make them double purpose. Then the whole center console itself can actually be removed. Now, it's a pain in the neck to put it back into place, but you can move it actually to the second row of seats and use it as a center console back there. So if you have kids and they have snacks and messy toys and whatnot, and you want them to have the center console, you can move it to the back. Or I'm sure some way you could probably buy a second one if you want a center console for the back, or find one in a junkyard in a couple of years. I also didn't notice until the night I was giving the vehicle back to Volkswagen that there's actually a wall outlet underneath the passenger seat. Very, very helpful for camping. Moving on to the seats are comfortable. They are leather, they are heated, ventilated power, memory, and the front two do have a very mild massage feature. It's really just the lumbar goes in and out, but it's really nice. You can find it on the side of the seat. It's a little wavy icon, and it will give you a slight but noticeable massage. However, speaking of seats, we do have 2 more rows of seating. So let's go do some back seat reviews. Getting in, there's a little grab handle over here, which kind of helps out, but the ID Buzz itself is kind of an awkward height. They give you these little step downs. It's maybe 3 or 4 inches lower than the floor itself, and it just feels kind of awkward. Once we are back here, plenty to love. First of all, tons of room. I can spread out fully, and I have no issue. I mean, this is an incredibly roomy van. On the door, we do have our Harman Kardon speakers, as well as we have heated seats for the second row. Now, something we learned is that there has to be a butt in the seat for the heated seats to turn on, because we were picking people up and I was like, oh, I'll turn on the heated seats, you know, a couple blocks away, so then it's nice and toasty when they get in, and that wasn't available. So once they sat down, then they could hit the heated seats. Kind of an interesting thing. You can also option on lower trims the bench seat across to make it an 8-passenger van instead of the 7-passenger van that we have here today, in case you wanted that. But I could swim laps back here. I mean, it is so comfy. And down here, we do have a bar, so we can move forward and back quite a bit. So I'll leave this one fully up, and then I'll put this one fully back so we can kind of get an idea for the third row. But very, very nice. We do have seat back pockets here as well, and USB-Cs in both doors for charging. Very, very nice. But let's hop into the third row. All right, all the way in the back, this is the seat that was all the way pushed back in its furthest position, and I am still very, very comfortable. I need to flip up these headrests, which I'm now realizing I had this full of people and I never popped the headrest up for them. So they were probably pretty uncomfortable back here. But sitting back here in its furthest back position, I'm comfy. Very, very comfortable. Moving over here to where the seat is all the way up, I mean, this is a first class experience. The interior packaging of the ID Buzz is phenomenal. It just phenomenal. Absolutely wonderful. Volkswagen knocked it out of the park with the interior packaging. If you want a van to feel bigger on the inside, the only other option is an 18-wheeler. I mean, really, truly, if you want, buy a motorhome if this isn't big enough for you, because this feels better than Odyssey. This feels bigger than Sienna. It feels bigger than Pacifica. It feels bigger than Carnival. All of them. Way, way bigger. And I think it's helped out a lot by that electric skateboard under us. Man, this is the, oh, I have USB-C chargers back here too. Wonderful to see. Good, good stuff. Let's hop into the very back. We have some fun cargo stuff back there, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the ID Buzz, and we do have a button down here for the power tailgate. The tailgate is enormous. FEMA actually called me and asked if they could use it as a pop-up structure for the next natural disaster. So that is quite wild. And if you do like press down on it as it's going up, it will stop and stay at that height. So I was parking in a low parking garage, and you can actually do that. But it is an absolutely massive door. Once we are back here, this is just an ice scraper. This does not come with the vehicle. We do get a 12-volt outlet over here. Seemingly no one has opened, but we do get these built-in shelves. Now they're not very high tech. It's just kind of a bin, and they both slide under here in a very IKEA style way, but there it is. Those are my dress shoes from the other night and all the pills that keep this channel running smoothly. So you do get a little system. I mean, this very much harkens back to the campers of yesteryear, and I love that they included that no matter how low budget it might feel. Big, giant, chunky button up here for the rear tailgate. It is power, and that is lovely to see because I think it would require He-Man to lift such a big door. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is hands down the best part of the ID Buzz. It is absolutely wonderful. It looks the part, and I don't think they could have styled it any better. It's cute, it's pretty, it's beautiful, and it has this sort of modern minimalism that really, really works. It's not bland or basic because of the minimalism. It actually uses that to its advantage, and it really accentuates the colors. This is finished in energetic orange metallic over candy white. However, I've been telling people it's just dreamsicle, and I think that fits it a little bit better. I do also want to note that if you take the aerodynamic covers off of the wheels, you get these sort of early 2000s looking Volkswagen wheels underneath. Let me know if you prefer these wheels over the aero covered ones that come on the ID Buzz. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the ID Buzz for the last 7 days? Well, I am incredibly torn on this vehicle. And I don't know if I've ever been as torn for other cars. Normally, it's so black and white how I feel. I tell it how it is, and I post the video. But I really, really struggle with this one. This car has been iconic the last 7 days. The amount of pictures I've had taken of it. Every time I go to charge it, people get out of their charging car and say, "Oh my God, you got one? How is it? What do you think?" I love it. It's so eye-catching. It's so pretty. I took it to a gala event over the weekend with my girlfriend. We got all dressed up, and it was the talk of the evening. I picked up her friends, and we took them to the event in the ID Buzz, and it was this grandiose moment. It was wonderful, and everyone was raving about it. Her friend Kirsten said this is better than a limo. It's cooler. And so, in that regard, this accomplished its task perfectly. These were iconic in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and now they're iconic again. Everyone loves the ID Buzz. This is exactly what the Cybertruck was trying to do, but this is the anti-Cybertruck. Everyone is happy to see the ID Buzz. Where the Cybertruck, most people lose their lunch. This has been great. It has brought a big smile to those who I've given a ride to, or those at the charging stations, or those downtown Chicago. And we need more vehicles like this. This is a retro throwback vehicle, and I think with this new EV era, because they can build pretty much anything they want on top of the electric skateboard, why not do old retro throwbacks? They're awesome. This makes everyone happy. Nostalgia makes people happy, and this bus brings joy not only to those inside of it, but to those around it, much like the old Volkswagen buses did. It accomplishes that goal so perfectly, and I'll always love it for that. But living with it is a different story. The range has not been good. Now, again, this is the wintertime. Batteries go down a lot more. But 220 miles of range in perfect conditions just isn't quite enough, especially for a vehicle that Volkswagen says you should road trip in. The original bus was the original van life camper lifestyle. Where can I drive in 220 miles? If I want to go on a road trip to Montana from here, I'll have to charge it nearly 10 times. And chargers are way less easy to come by than even here in Chicago. Now, if I lived in Long Beach and had a 3-minute drive to the beach, this would be the perfect automobile. But then there's the price. This one is nearly $71,000. And so someone that lives by the beach and has that short drive isn't going to spend that much money. Now, again, the flip side of that, these are offered for $59.99 on their website. However, as soon as you click Build My Own, it jumps up to $61,000, and you're not getting one of these for really anything below $65,000, even in its rear-wheel drive format. So when the range isn't great and the price isn't great, it is a very, very hard thing to reconcile in your head. Paired with the fact that it turns off every time you get out of it and into it, it senses your butt on the seat. And so when you get out, it turns off. When you get in, it turns on. It's kind of annoying because like when you get in and out, it just immediately shuts off. The climate shuts off. Everything shuts off. It's really hard to get a video of it with the headlights on because as soon as I get out of the car, they turn back off. And one time in the car wash, I was in neutral. I leaned over because my water bottle fell off the seat. And again, I was in neutral in a car wash when they were pulling me along. My butt left the seat a little bit. It threw the bus into park. And luckily, I was able to get it back into drive and then neutral before the track ended in the car wash. But I could only imagine what would have happened if I wasn't so lucky. So, is this cool? Yes, it's incredibly cool. Do I like it? Yes. Do I love it? Quite a bit. But could I live with it? Would I spend $71,000 on it? I don't know. But hey, if you do sign on the dotted line, you're going to be so rad cruising down the boulevard. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Volkswagen for loaning me the ID Buzz for the last 7 days. Huge thank you to Drive Shop for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.